Nobody wants to get united. Like, what we gotta do is meet everybody on 149th Street at the bench.
Hey guys, welcome back to The Bench. Today, I want to talk about why it is you're not getting better in graffiti, or any art form for that matter. And I'm not gonna just say, keep it simple, that's why you're not getting better. We're actually gonna kind of look at this a little bit deeper under the hood. And the first reason is, well, many new artists think that they're much better than what they actually are. This keeps them blind to the possibilities that they still have to learn about. This keeps them blind to a lot of the things that exist, a lot of the techniques, theories, and fundamentals that they have yet to learn. And as a result, they spend many years going on never learning those things, when it's exactly those things that end up giving us quality in art in the first place. Number two, a lot of artists believe that there are no rules to art. They believe that just because you did it, just because you brought it into this world, it automatically is correct and also beautiful. Now don't get me wrong, there is some merit to that. The quality of the artwork does not necessarily mean that it's going to be enjoyed or that it can't be enjoyed. So you can have a fairly bad image still be enjoyed by a bunch of people. The same way that, say, a mother might love her child's horrible drawing and hang it up on the refrigerator. At the end of the day, we have to acknowledge the fact that there is something that inherently separates amateurs from intermediate and professional and master level artists, and this thing that separates them is the understanding of those fundamentals, and the understanding that you can't just simply do whatever and draw from your heart and it's going to turn out good. While this is a problem in pretty much every single art form, it's especially a problem in graffiti, where believing in the fundamentals is largely frowned upon and many people don't even believe the fundamentals exist. And it's this very denial of the fundamentals that keeps the artist from progressing. A professional comic book artist or a professional concept artist isn't going to get the job by saying they drew these things from their heart. They have to learn about character design, they have to learn about anatomy, gesture, pose, expression, line, shape, form, value, space, color, texture, as well as various techniques for the mediums they use, be it digital, pencil, oil paint, doesn't matter. They have to learn techniques as well. And it's this understanding that fundamentals exist and understanding the value of these fundamentals that separates amateurs who believe that there are no fundamentals from the professionals who know that these fundamentals are there. Number three, putting too much of an emphasis on style. I know this is something you guys heard me talk about time and time again, but it's the truth. Style is by far the worst enemy of every new artist, because style is a result of understanding the basics. If you do not understand the basics, then there's no way you're gonna have style. There's no way you're gonna have control over it. And that difference goes right back to understanding those same basics. Number four, just simply a lack of discipline and practice. Not enough artists put enough time in order to actually get better. A lot of people want to get to the end result without actually wanting to put in the work to get there. It takes a lot of work in order to get good at anything in life, and art is no different. You have to put in an absurd amount of hours in order to actually start to become decent, let alone good, at art, regardless of the art form it is you're trying to do. It's underestimating this journey that a lot of people mess up on, myself included. When I was a kid, I thought I was a really good artist back in middle school, and obviously that wasn't the case. Falling victim to the Dunning-Kruger effect and believing you're good before you've actually ever learned anything is a massive mistake many artists make. And in order to get out of this, not only do we have to revert back to one of our earlier points, but you have to be willing in order to put in the practice to get better. Simply watching a bunch of YouTube videos or reading a lot of how to do books is not going to really cut it in order to increase your skill level in said art form, be it graffiti, portraits, or cartoons. You have to be willing to put in the legwork. And you have to be patient with it as well, and that's really the big takeaway here. A lot of artists aren't really patient, and while this isn't our number one reason for people not getting better, it certainly is one that should be on the list. You have got to be patient. If you're not willing to go ahead and wait to reap the fruits of your labor, then you're never actually going to reach the point where it begins to pay off. Now before we get into the final and top reason artists don't progress, we have a bit of a bonus, and that being artists compare themselves way too much in a negative way to other artists. They look at what this person's doing, they look at what that person's doing, and they feel the need to either become like that person, and as a result they begin to emulate and copy their style, and this just distracts them from their own practice, and as a result they don't really progress very much. They just become a copy and pasted version of whatever artist they end up admiring, or they become so demoralized that they just give up entirely. And once again, while this occurs in many art forms, you see it a ton in graffiti, where God knows how many graffiti artists are trying to copy and bite the styles of other graffiti artists, and many of these people do end up quitting over time. Now the final and top reason artists don't progress in any art form. This one, after all my years on social media, after all my years of teaching, the top reason is people depend on motivation and inspiration far too much. If you want to work at a professional skill level, if you want to become a professional artist, you really have to begin thinking of motivation as a privilege and inspiration as a luxury. These are two things that are completely unnecessary. A professional artist will never say that they need motivation to work or they need inspiration to create. Those are necessities for amateurs. Professional professionals don't find those things to be a necessity. Could you imagine if a concept artist went ahead and called out of work because they weren't feeling motivated? Or if a comic book artist went ahead and called out of work because they weren't feeling inspired? They would be fired on the spot. Why? Because if you're working at a professional skill level, you're expected to create regardless of how motivated you are. It's no different than going to school or going to any other job. You don't get to just not go because you're not motivated or you're not inspired. You still have work to do. And art's no different. You gotta look at it the same way. A professional artist has the skills and knowledge of the fundamentals in order to go ahead and create regardless of whether or not they're motivated or not. I mean, I've done some hyper-realistic paintings that have taken me 6 months to do, and there's no way I was motivated to work on those things for like the hundreds of hours I worked on them. And this is where discipline comes into play. You need to have discipline if you want to be working at a professional skill level. Now understand, if you want to be a hobbyist and you want to go ahead and take it easy and this is just a stress relief, then that's perfectly fine. You can choose to ignore everything on this list. But if you want absolutely any hope of working in a professional skill level for any art at all, then take note of these 5 reasons most artists don't improve. And do everything in your power to not fall victim to these things because they really are what stifle progression in any given art form. But dudes, that wraps up today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, let me know in the comments down below. Remember to hit the like button, it helps out a bunch. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe. We have the best how to do graffiti tutorials right here at the top. And on the bottom, we have much more graffiti content for you to enjoy. So join the smartest graffiti community anywhere online and subscribe. I'll catch you guys next week, but until then, peace.